Plants are our allies, our teachers, our friends. They are here to help us, and we are in partnership with them. And we've been partnering with plants for tens of thousands of years. There's many examples of that.
And welcome to another episode of Business 101 with Stephen Cowan today. Stephen is a former tech sales executive who left corporate America to grow microgreens in the garage and ended up building BeMicro, the first freeze-dried microgreen supplement company in the United States. What started at farmers market has now turned into a national wellness brand, working with regenerative farms and helping thousands eat better without overthinking nutrition. Steve is also the host of the Plant Frequencies podcast, where he explores the healing powers of plants. Today, we're digging into what it really takes to start something new in an uncertain space and why small natural things can lead to big success. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you, and thanks for coming on board. Let's start at the very top, right? For listeners who are new to this whole microgreens arena, myself included, right? Can you talk through what microgreens are, what freeze-dried microgreens are, what are their nutritional benefits, and why should we care about them?
Yeah, so microgreens are a phase in the plant's life when they're just about 14 days old. So they're just babies. This is when the plant is naturally the most concentrated in vitamins, minerals, nutrients, unique antioxidants. This is important because most people are not getting enough of these good things. Today, you have to eat about 4 apples, and this is true for most of our fruits and vegetables, to equal the nutritional benefit of just 1 apple 80 years ago. It was because of soil depletion, GMOs. They're shipping the vegetables from very far away, and the nutrients in the vegetables and the fruits burn off over time as well, as much as 20% per day after harvest. So what we do is we grow these nutrient-dense baby vegetables indoors in a greenhouse under the light of the sun. They use 1/10 the amount of resources as traditionally grown fruits and vegetables. So that means 1/10 the amount of time, space, energy, water, and workers. And so what we do, because they're just babies, they have a very short shelf life, they're very fragile. If you've ever seen basil at the grocery store, that's like 4 or 5 weeks old. This is only 1 to 2 weeks old, so it's even more fragile than the basil that you see, and typically the basil is all beat up at the grocery store. So it has a very short shelf life. So what we do is we grow it, wash it, and then we freeze dry it. Freeze drying it retains up to 100% of all that concentrated goodness while extending the shelf life from about a week now to over 1 year, making it easy to sneak into any meal, travel with it. You only need 1 teaspoon per day, and that is equal to 1 to 2 whole cups of leafy greens, which is the amount most people need per day. So it's like the easiest way to sneak more vegetables into any diet, and a lot of people, biohackers, are interested in our microgreens, specifically our broccoli, our radish, and our red cabbage. Those are all the cruciferous family because they have a very powerful antioxidant that's really good at pulling bad things, basically like pulling poison out of the body.
Yeah, interesting. And Steve, this is different from baby greens, right? Because I've read about baby greens and some other optimized versions of vegetables. How does this differ?
Baby greens are just a little bit older. There's a lot of different kind of marketing phrases. I'll go through the phases. So first there's a seed, and a seed is like a dormant plant. One way of thinking of it, it's like a plant in a box with a lunch. It has just enough energy in it to start to sprout. Once it sprouts, after 1 to 2 days, it's going to need some water. And so phase 2 is the sprout. You'll see those grown in mason jars. Those are typically 2 to 4 days old, very nutrient dense, but also easy to grow them in a way that's not very clean. It's a bit of a bacterial breeding ground. The next phase is microgreens. Those are grown in a growing medium. We grow it all in organic soil. All our products are USDA organic and regenerative organic certified, so it's all grown in a really good way. And then it's baby greens, and baby greens are maybe like a month old, depends on what it is, and those are typically leafy greens like lettuces and spinach. And then you have the full adult vegetable that is typically maybe 3 to 4 months old.
Thanks for walking through that. Now, Steve, I know that you started in tech sales and you did about a decade in tech sales, right? How did you stumble upon microgreens, and what made you think, okay, this is worth me quitting my 10-year career to go to try to work out?
Yeah, I love tech sales. I love technology. That's a great sale to be in. High margin, very competitive. It's complicated. It's difficult. And yet it was bringing me all around the country. It's easy to romanticize traveling a lot, being in airports, being in airplanes, being in hotels, but the life wasn't as healthy as I wanted it to be. In sales, there's a lot of entertaining, and there's a relationship that you're building with these companies as well. Them to pick you and trust you and work with you. You're building a partnership. I really wanted to be healthier, and so I took a break from sales and I started traveling. I started buying one-way tickets, and I went everywhere from Fiji, Australia, Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam. I spent 3 months in Africa, 3 months in Berlin, and then I found myself down in Peru, the jungles of Peru, a town called Iquitos, which is actually the largest city in the world, not accessible by road. Over 500,000 people live there. The only way to get there is on the Amazon River or to fly in. And down there, I connected with plants in a very powerful and unique way. I got guided through the jungle, and where I just saw trees and bushes and little shrubs, they saw food, medicine, shelter, danger, opportunity. My mind was open to the world of plants and get to see how some of these medicine men and these healers down in these very traditional, I'd say like ancient cultures, partner with the plants as if they're friends and allies and teammates. I had no idea that these plants are here to really help us. So I came back to Colorado in 2018, and I turned my apartment into a hydroponic farm. And I started growing all different types of plants, from leafy greens and herbs like the basil to stumbling across microgreens. I'm like, how come nobody's doing anything with these microgreens? They're pretty much used as a garnish at high-end restaurants. That started my path down to microgreens.
This is interesting because most people would experience what you experienced and they would come back, start a podcast or write a book or something and move on to real life, but you came and decided, actually, I can make a business out of this, right? This wasn't existing in the US, right? Was this your tech sales side speaking where you were like, I think I can sell this? So like, how did you figure out that this is something you can actually sell and make money from?
I was extremely passionate.
Okay.
And I say that I consult for a lot of entrepreneurs that are just starting, maybe at that idea stage, and they're like, how do I get my first product to market? And first you have to be passionate, because if you're not passionate, it's very easy to quit, because it's a very challenging, you're signing up for a very challenging journey, the path of entrepreneurship. It's very humbling, it's changing all the time, and it can be very lonely as well. So that passion first needs to be there. And I just trusted myself. Sales is the hardest part of any business, I believe. And I felt uniquely qualified and able, and I got very humbled. Selling big deals to big companies where I've got a team and they've got a team and they've got and it's all, now I'm selling small deals, $50 to $100 to hundreds of people, thousands of people. It's a lot different. Farmers market, online, retailers, there's lots of ways to sell product, but to be able to market and sell, and just like I'm doing right now, I'm kind of like the cheerleader for the company. I'm out front, I'm the one telling the story, sharing the education. I think you want to be a passionate founder that's not afraid to get in front of the camera so that you can help drum up that awareness. Education can be very expensive, especially if you're basically starting a new category like I am.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in the US, right, when most people think about eating better, taking charge of their nutrition, they usually think in the line of, eating GMO-free organic foods and things like that. So essentially, when you started, especially, this was definitely a niche and very unfamiliar category, right? Could you talk through some of your initial steps in validating the idea? You were very convinced that these were very useful products and that they were valuable, and from a health perspective, they're very valuable. But the market is still, the ultimate decider, right? The market still has to buy this idea. What were some of the initial steps that you took to validate the idea and educate customers who had never heard about this? And I think this would be very useful for listeners who are like new founders trying to figure out, how do I make sense of this idea? How do I know that the market wants to pay for this idea?
Yeah, so first is, would I be a customer? Was this a product that I would consume? And so I started as a fresh microgreens in a 2-car garage. And the best way to feel, I think, a plant, to really understand it, because there's not a lot of research around these microgreens, is to juice it. When you juice something, it's like an IV. It's lightning right into the blood. And it's like, whoa, you can really feel it. being able to feel, like feeling is understanding and knowing, and there was a felt sense. I'm like, wow, I could really feel the power. Plus there's a lot of studies around broccoli, radish, cabbage that were saying that, hey, these are really powerful if you grow them in a good way and you process them in a good way. So I started as fresh microgreens company, thinking I'm the world's best microgreen salesman that's ever existed, just coming off of a really great career in software sales. And I tried to get Vail, which is the largest company really out here that owns all the 5-star restaurants. And I was not able to win that account. I got humbled. I couldn't get through their procurement. I couldn't get through their purchasing. And it seemed like it would have been a slam dunk. I'm growing it right down the road and they're importing it from several states over. I'm less expensive. I'm higher quality. I'm local. I'm all the things that their customers want. So I then pivoted to farmers markets. And farmers markets are beautiful because you can bring a different product, a different message, different packaging, different pricing, every single market, and you get instant feedback from the people. So I started bringing my fresh microgreens to farmers markets. I was doing 3 to 4 farmers markets a week. This was my full-time job, and I was just trying different things. With that, I was also trying different products. Maybe it's your own grow your microgreens at home kit. Maybe it's something else. But I was noticing most of my customers were tourists, and these tourists live far away in Texas, in Florida. And so they're like, how do we get your microgreens back in our state, thousands of miles away? I'm like, you got to find someone like me down by you. And I was like, well, maybe if I dry these microgreens. So then at that time I was dehydrating them. I started drying them, bringing them in like in a salt shaker, bringing them into a tea. And people really like the microgreens in the tea. Tea is one of the most popular drinks in the country, in the world. So mixing these microgreens for added benefits into the tea, that really helped. And then I started doing the microgreens on their own. Then I discovered freeze drying, which retains even more of the vitamins and minerals. And then I started really leaning into lab testing to really validate, hey, what's in these microgreens? Are they as concentrated and as good for you as everyone is saying? Is there as many of these vitamins, minerals, and really unique antioxidants in them as we think? And there's a lot that's undiscovered, and we started searching for new things that maybe aren't even known yet. And we were able to break a lot of news. We were able to break the market really loves broccoli. Everybody wants broccoli microgreens, but broccoli is a man-made vegetable and is in part made out of cabbage. So we started testing red cabbage and different types of cabbage. It turns out the red cabbage is 2 to 3 times more powerful, so 2 to 3 times as much bang for your buck, as much value as the broccoli. No one else knew that. We brought that information to market, and I invest thousands. I've invested tens of thousands into lab testing for my own, knowing that, hey, this product is worth my time to bring it forward and to help the customer know what type of benefits that they'll receive. Most of our customers want to know that we're just doing the best job possible, but there is probably 10 to 20% of our customers that really wants to see those lab tests. So we validate and really proud of what we've created so far.
That's beautiful to hear. And I'm going to ask you a bit of a dicey question. Most times when people talk about business, they always say that you should build from the customer perspective, right? You want to first figure out what is the customer passionate about, what did the customer want, what problems does the customer have, and then build a solution around that. You moved from would I buy this product? Do I think this is a useful product for myself? Yes, okay. I think there will be more people like me who are, who think this is a valuable product, and I can convince people to buy them. How do you reconcile both ends of the spectrum?
I think the best way to launch a product, is to sell it first. I did not do that. I wasn't thinking in that kind of a way. I was thinking like, hey, I could sell anything. Let me make the product first, and then I can sell it. And I got humbled. And many steps of the way, I would bring a product to market, make labels, make the packaging, make a bunch of it, and people didn't want to buy it. So then I started listening to the customer more. I was definitely in my ego, like, oh, whatever, people will just buy whatever I make. And that is definitely not how it goes. Make something that the customer wants, try to pre-sell it, and so that you have then the cash in the bank to then go manufacture it. Yeah, I would definitely, the least risky way is to pre-sell it. And a way to do that is to just run some ads or send it out to a text group or send out some emails. And you need to get at least 50 people to sign up for the pre-sale. If you can't get at least 50 people to sign up for the pre-sale of a product, then you probably shouldn't bring that product to market.
I agree with you. And yeah, validating the need is always, I think, is always a good idea. Like you said, it saves you from a lot of, experimentation that might eventually not lead to, market sales. But I want to double down on something you said earlier. You mentioned that eventually you kind of started selling from farmers market, but you're no longer like a small, tiny farmers market, producer anymore. You're kind of bigger now. How did that transition happen? And if you can remember, what were some of the, I guess, key points in which things began to switch up and then people were more receptive of the brand?
Yeah, so I would say I went from growing it all myself, drying it myself, doing everything, marketing, fulfilling, doing everything myself, to starting to realize what I'm best at. And what I'm best at is the sales, the marketing, the relationships, the partnerships. So I started to outsource the growing to local farms here in Colorado. Ones that are already doing amazing, world class, already USDA organic, doing a really good job. And they would grow those microgreens for me. And every day, every other day, they would drop off microgreens at my commercial kitchen that was all certified in the right way. Now I've got a commercial kitchen that I can, allowing me to sell this product nationwide, worldwide really. And now I'm just freeze drying. Now core competency for me is around the technology, the software stack on my website, and how we do our social media and all of that, but then also how we are processing these microgreens, because we're washing them in a really good way, a very unique way. We're freeze drying them in a really good way. And then that just continued to scale. And now we have other companies support us with all those things. We still have all of that, but now there's other companies that support us with the growing, the washing, the freeze drying. We've got many lab testing companies. We've got companies that package it for us, that co-pack it for us. So we've got companies that fulfill the products for us, that when somebody comes in and purchases off of our website, it's no longer me putting it into the envelope and shipping it out. There's a company that does that. We now work with other companies like Amazon. You can buy our product off of Amazon Prime. So it's really, how do you just focus on what you're best at? If I were to tell myself 6 years ago starting this, hey, what to focus on is understand what type of founder you are. From the book Rocket Fuel, you're either a visionary, which is more like a Steve Jobs, or a Walt Disney, or you're an integrator, and the integrator is more the behind the scenes guy, like the Steve Wozniak to the Steve Jobs, the guy that builds the iPhone, builds the Mac computer, but doesn't want to be out in front. So I'm the one like saying, hey, we should go here, and then you really need a teammate to help you build that. So if a founder you are, attracting your partner, because no one's doing it alone. Even if you think all these founders are just doing it on their own, they've all got a team. You got to have a team and get the best people that you can, learn as fast as you can. Becoming a founder is a crash course. It's like getting your MBA. And I think it's more valuable to just try and start a company like I've done than to actually go and get an MBA. I think there's a lot of value in MBA from the people that you meet, but you're going to learn a lot more through trial by fire, and I think it's a better investment. If you're going to put $100,000 into an MBA or $100,000 into starting your own company, I would start my own company 9 out of 10 times.
Oh, got it. Seeing that I just completed my MBA, I take this as a personal diss, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. MBA is great. MBA is great, but the kind of learner that I am is like, I'm a trial by fire. I need to like really fail to learn the lesson. It's hard for me to learn lessons from reading about other people's failures. I'm like, I need to really be in it and like feel the heartache from the failure, so I can grow from it.
No, you're definitely right. And I think even in the MBAs, we try as much as possible to try and get as much in-person, hands on deck experience as we can with practicum and things like that. So you're definitely spot on. And you kind of already touched on one of the questions I was going to ask about, how to figure out what part of the business you're most at and knowing what to do with the rest of the business. That's a bit harder for a founder to figure out. But now let's talk a bit about the operational side, especially from an early stage perspective. Can you think about some of the earliest mistakes that you made as a first time founder, especially at the early stages? And how did you course correct?
I think the earliest mistake was thinking I can do it all and that I couldn't afford help. But help is out there. Get creative. Like this, being a founder really helps you get creative, from getting interns to doing different types of deals, equity deals, to doing trades, to there's lots of ways to get help. You want to find help and really focus on marketing, because if people don't know you exist, you don't exist. Marketing, that awareness, that education that I'm doing right now, this is marketing, is what drives sales, which helps people to understand BeMicro. It exists, it's great, it can help you with your health, and then people buy it. So marketing, 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 it's the lifeblood of the organization. If the sales stop, then the money stops, and then the whole thing can fall apart pretty quickly, because business can be very expensive. Try to keep your costs very low. Realize everyone wants to work with you because they want to sell you something, especially in the world of marketing. It's so important to get good at marketing, because that is where the most snake oil salesmen are, because it's such a black box, marketing. It's all these algorithms and analytics, and the Facebook and Google and TikTok, they're always changing. Everyone's always changing, but any marketer or any person can just say like, "Oh, I know how to do that." It's very easy to lie. There's a lot I've lost a lot of time and a lot of money by hiring people that said that they could do XYZ and they were not able to do it. So it's important for any new founder. Yeah, the product is good. I would say the team is number one, and your ability to market it is number two. And just get good at marketing. Get good at making short form content. Get practice. Right here talking to you, this is practice for me. I started a podcast to practice. There's many reasons I started a podcast, but it's marketing. It's like, how can I just get stronger in this place of marketing? And the better I get at marketing and telling my story and getting out there in these kinds of ways, the better my business does, and the more opportunities that show up. And you never know who's watching. Our content gets thousands of views a day. You never know who is watching any of that content. And we get people reaching out to us all the time now wanting to do deals with me. And all the best deals I've ever done are people that have reached out to me. Coming from a software sales where I was a hunter, I was going out and I'm like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to find what I want, I'm going to get it, and I'm going to bring it back. Well, it's like, let life happen to you, let it happen for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the universe, God wants to meet you, wants to help you, and let it help you. Figure out how you're getting out of your own way. The number one way I think people get in their own way is by trying to do it all.
Well, that's incredible advice. I could not have said it better myself. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you kind of already touched on your podcast. We're going to transition there in a minute. But first, I wanted to ask, you kind of built your company around the whole idea of regenerative agriculture. For a layman who isn't very familiar, what does that mean, and what are the key things to know about regenerative agriculture?
So we have a certification called Regenerative Organic Certification, ROC. And to get an ROC certification, you have to first be USDA organic. To be USDA organic, you have to do things in a pretty clean way, in a really good way. The step above, our regenerative organic certification, means we work with the land versus traditional farming, which is monocropping, which means I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Chicago, and there's miles and miles of cornfield. That is not natural. That's not working with the land. In order to do that, you have to use GMO seeds that are resistant to certain types of pests or fertilizer or herbicides or pesticides. You have to spray a lot of fertilizer on it. What's happening in the US today is we have a soil depletion. The soil doesn't have any more nutrients to give because we're not working it in the right kind of a way. We just keep planting corn in the same soil and trying to pull the nutrients out, but there's nothing there. And that's why a lot of our fruits and vegetables today only have about a quarter of the amount of nutrients they had 80 years ago, as I was saying a little bit earlier. Yes. So it's working with the land, it's working with animals, it's working with the people, it's just being in a good way with all these, that's in a sustainable way. But the main thing is it's working with nature versus working against nature. When you work with nature, you're just going to get a way better product. It's going to be a lot better for the land. It's going to be a lot better for the customer. It's a lot better. It's a lot healthier for everyone. It can be a little bit harder to do because a lot of our knowledge has been lost in those types of ways, but there's a lot of really good companies coming back with regenerative organic certifications, and look for that, support those companies, because those are companies that are supporting many people.
Got it. Excellent. Now, Steve, you speak a lot about small habits and simplicity, right? First, what do you mean by that? And How does that philosophy translate into how you build and how you scale?
Yeah, so part of our philosophy at BeMicro is it's the small things that add up. So it's like we're just what our habits are. So having good daily habits, those add up. And having destructive habits, those add up as well.
Yes.
Nobody gets really, really strong overnight, and nobody gets really, really overweight overnight either. It's doing one thing many times is what gets you to these places. So it's the small things that add up. That's how I think about BeMicro. You just take a small amount of this every day, and naturally the bad things, so maybe that's like the overeating of cake and cookies and things like that, there's less room for those unhealthy things, and they just start to fade away. I think when it comes to a business and my business standpoint, it's knowing the things I need to execute on every single day and having team around me to help me execute on those things as well. So we are just every single day working on marketing. We are basically, that is the number one thing that we focus on. We've got the growing, washing, freeze drying, packaging, fulfillment all locked in. It's like locked. New products. We just launched a new product. We just launched capsules just last week. So we're constantly bringing new products to market as well. But we're looking on ways that we can help grow this company and make a positive impact to more people and to the land itself. Because the more microgreens we grow, the more positive impact we can make to the communities that we serve as well. But yeah, it's just the small things that add up. Just small daily habits. It's not some big thing like, hey, now I got to be keto. Now I got to do some new health. It's like, nope, just add a little bit more vegetables in.
Yeah.
And by adding a little bit more good, clean, organic vegetables is important because a lot of vegetables also are unfortunately covered in herbicides and pesticides and unhealthy things that might be actually bringing you closer to something that's life shortening than life extending. But all these small things add up and create you who you are.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And I know it's amazing to know that BeMicro also has should I call it a social good side of it, where you're trying to influence people's lifestyle and in that sense, their overall health. One more question before we then talk a bit about your podcast, right? For entrepreneurs who are trying to break into emerging and uncertain industries, what advice do you have, in the area of starting lean, staying authentic, and standing out?
I think come up with a plan. You got to have a plan. You don't fail, or you don't plan to fail, you fail to plan. Have a plan. Even a bad plan is better than no plan at all. Don't take it personally when you fail. It's not personal. It was just a decision. That decision just didn't work out. Doesn't mean you're not working out. Yeah. And it's a test of resilience. Just know that this is going to make you stronger, that this path is going to strengthen you into becoming a kind of person that you really respect and admire. And that adversity is worth a lot. So you're putting yourself through adversity. Don't overextend yourself. Don't overpromise. You hear people say like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. It's like, that is not good advice. You need to take care of yourself. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Don't get into at least natural products to try to make a quick buck. Maybe get into crypto or to get into something else for some quick money, but this is not quick money. Really, really take care of yourself so that you can take care of the business, that you could take care of your employees and your customers. But if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anyone else? Self-care is probably the most underrated part, appreciated, underexplained part of this journey. Really just take care of yourself in a good way and fail fast. And if it's not fun anymore, let it go. Like this whole thing should be fun. It's going to be hard, but also there's an enjoyment, and enjoy the process. Like where you are today isn't where you're going to be at 6 months from now or a year from now. I've just started a new podcast. I've only posted 10 episodes. Already seen the transition from episode 1 to episode 10, and I've recorded about 20. So now I'm on episode 20 and recording. I'm like, wow, this is just getting better and better. And you're not going to be Joe Rogan overnight, but you're going to get to enjoy the process. The whole thing is the enjoyment. When you listen to people that are at end of life and they're billionaires and they've had these big lives, it's not about all the companies that they've built. It's just about the relationships along the way. Really invest in relationships. You often hear people say your net worth is your network. So connect with people, be in a win-win way with people, always look for the win-win, because we could always win. There's a lot in our corporate culture today where it's win-lose. Like the corporation wins and they'll just take from you, steal from you. They don't care. They'll lose. Of the win-win. We have to live in this win-lose world, unfortunately. There's a lot of corruption in our world, but when you're working with people, be committed to that win
Wow, that's all great advice. Start small, fail fast, fail quickly, take care of yourself and take care of other people. That's beautifully put. Thank you. And so now let's just talk a bit more about your podcast. I believe it's called the Plant Frequencies podcast. Tell me about this podcast. What are you trying to do with it, and how has it influenced, the way that you lead and run your company?
Yeah, so first, I'm very passionate about plants. Plants are our allies, our teachers, our friends. They are here to help us, and we are in partnership with them. And we've been partnering with plants for tens of thousands of years. There's many examples of that. This podcast is one to help share the stories, inspiration, and information around plants. And so I interview professionals in the world of plants. Everyone from PhD doctors to engineers, herbalists, natural product founders, anyone that's a professional in the world of plants, farmers, whatever it might be, that's who I'm talking to bring their insights forward, to help them tell their stories, to create a platform. A lot of these people haven't been interviewed before, but they've lived amazing lives. And it's also a marketing channel for me for BeMicro. The podcast is sponsored by BeMicro, so I get to put out a lot more BeMicro content. And the game is just how much high quality content can you put out there? And then it's not, my content doesn't do as well when it's just me talking to me and a camera. My content always does a lot better when we're doing what's happening right now. When there's two people, your audience can be my audience can be your audience, and together we can go a lot farther together. So I find a lot of opportunity and partnership. A lot of the people I'm interviewing are business owners themselves. So then other opportunities for us to do business together come up as well. And after sitting with somebody for 1, 2, 3 hours, sometimes I really enjoy it. Sometimes it'll go 3 hours. It's like, man, you become really good friends with that person. Maybe you were good friends before, but now you're really good friends. Or if you've never even met the person before. I just interviewed the mayor of our town. I never met him before, but now I feel like I could call him, he could call on me. It's like these friendships, these connections form. There's so many benefits to it, and then I'm getting more succinct. I'm learning how to work my questions. There's so many skills that you need to learn to do a good job with podcasting, and I think they're invaluable, especially in the world of marketing. And I couldn't say it enough that it's like marketing. If you're going to be a business owner, get over any fear of being in front of the camera, because I don't see how you can make it if you're scared. Maybe you have a co-founder that is going to be the person in front of the camera, but man, to be able to keep this thing going and to really lift it up, you need to get in front of the camera. So I'm just in the practice of it now.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I was watching the UEFA Club Championship yesterday, and I saw an advert from Google, and I'm like, Google is still advertising and marketing. And yeah, just to what you say, there's the day a company begins to stop advertising, that's the day it starts dying. And you're absolutely right about needing to figure out the marketing advertising side of a company. I had one final question. From all of your, the people you've spoken to in your podcast, right? What has that told you about the microgreens industry? Do you feel like it's an emerging market or an emerging industry that will continue to grow, or do you think it's going to continue being this very small niche, industry, and only those who are like really passionate about it will be able to play in this industry?
I think I'm riding the crest of several trends right now. I think health and wellness in podcasting, I think this is a beautiful time to be in this type of work. I can feel the lift. I can feel the momentum of my podcast, much more so than I did it took a good 3 years to feel the momentum of BeMicro. And I'm already feeling it in the first 3 months of this podcast. This thing wants to happen, and it's unbelievable. I think it's, I really hope microgreens have a moment similar to mushrooms. Like mushrooms just have exploded in the last 5-10 years. Yeah. Everyone wants mushrooms, everything. Same with protein and collagen. And it's like everybody's putting that in everything. We are a supplier of microgreens. If you are looking to put microgreens into your products, we can supply those to you. USDA organic, grown here in the US in a really good way. Consulting around that as well. But I think microgreens are definitely on the rise. It's all education. People don't know that they exist. They don't know to search for them. They don't know to look for them. There's a lot of people starting microgreens businesses out of their homes, garages, things like that. And I just ask that those growers continue to do it in a really good way. The worst thing that can happen for our market is somebody gets sick from the microgreens. Somebody's growing it in a spare bedroom and they've got a cat and a dog living in there, and somehow some bacteria gets from the cat tracked in and it gets in the plant, and then somebody eats it and gets sick. That could really hurt our industry. So
Yes.
it's a plea to all the new microgreens growers out there. Please do it in a really good way. This is definitely a rising tide. We'll all lift up from this. And health and wellness is not going away. We saw that in COVID. COVID was really bad in many ways. And it was good for the natural products space. It was good for my business because it's front of mind. Like, oh man, I don't want to get sick. How do I do a better job at being healthy? And these freeze-dried microgreens was like a really, really helpful way for people. So I'm optimistic on the future. I'm optimistic. All signs point upwards.
Perfect. And if you're watching this podcast, we're going to put the links to BeMicro and other websites and sites from Steve. So if you want to get in contact or order and try out microgreens for yourself, the links are going to be in this recording. But I think that's all the questions we have time for. One final question before I let you go, Steve, is just what is the one takeaway you want, someone who has never paid as much attention to their health or their nutrition to learn regarding microgreens and regenerative agriculture?
I would say one tip is, it's around regenerative agriculture and microgreens, but more so even wider, just connect with nature. Connect with plants. When I'm in my own most anxious, sad, challenging way, I just go out into nature. Go move in nature without headphones and just connect with nature, because that's what we come from. We are one with nature. We think that we're separate from it, but nature is here to support us. Grow some plants in your house, just some house plants. Try to grow some microgreens at home. There's no beating fresh. You can't beat fresh. It's very unique to be able to eat something that's still alive. You can eat a living microgreen. Everything that we get at the store is long dead.
Yes.
And just spend more time with nature. Through the power and magic of photosynthesis, plants eat light. When we eat those plants, we are filling ourselves with light. And so fill yourself with that light and spread as much joy and love and positivity as you can, because that is too contagious. There's a lot of spreading of fear today, and I just call on you to be an ally, a teammate, a warrior for spreading what is good and positive and right, and help to spread that light. And these plants are pure light.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and experience with us. Guys, we've been speaking to Steve, and see you on another episode of Business 101 podcast. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Bye.